All right, so we're live. Let's see. Might send this link out to some folks, but wanted to discuss the Deshaun Watson scandal with you because I think that it's something that we both deal with as practicing attorneys with clients, and specifically, what I'm talking about is clients not being completely honest and transparent at the beginning. Because, in my opinion, what's happened with the Deshaun Watson case is essentially he wasn't being honest with himself, and most likely he probably wasn't being honest with his attorney. If if I think he's facing 19 different lawsuits currently, but what came out today was the Sports Illustrated article in which massage therapist who hadn't sued him yet details her experience with him, where um, the session was booked through a third party, basically a referral from the massage therapist community, and then it was booked for an hour and a half, and basically he was getting massages in his upper inner thigh, his lower abs, and his like groin area. And so he at some point in the massage he ends up taking off his towel because I guess they're supposed to have like a sheet on you, but he requested a bath towel. So he took off his bath towel and he was kind of like dry humping the air, so to speak. And so she goes into details on what happened, but the important thing was that my point when I discussed this is that he could have got rid of this problem for six figures when it was one or two people before the lawsuit was filed, um, before it became known to the world. Because I think that a lot of these therapists were like, all right, this is kind of weird behavior, uh, you know, but it's not necessarily criminal, or he didn't violate everybody. Like that woman didn't end up touching his penis, but he told her that if she needed to get to an area, she can move it. Um, and she noticed that he had basically like come on the like ab or stomach section of his thing. So it was kind of like a lot. It's pretty detailed. You should read it on Sports Illustrated. So, but one of the things is that like initially was like, well, you know that you've been and after he did that, he basically randomly hit her up two times on Instagram, seeing if she wanted to give him massages. But it was like he didn't know that she had already given him a massage. And so when Busby's initial clients, I think he had two, first reached out to him about the settlement, there was no way he disclosed to his attorney that he had been doing this behavior multiple times, um, and that he was using this many therapists, and that there was this many potential cases. Because if you knew what we know now, you obviously settle the cases for six figures and then be done with it. Get the non-disclosure agreement and the confidentiality, and just be done with it. So, but that happens to me sometimes where I sign up a client and the client hasn't been completely forthcoming with me or completely honest with me, and then you get to the situation where the other side shows uh, some new evidence, and if you knew that going in, you may have taken different steps um, to assist the client in the representation. So, I mean, what are your thoughts?
Here's the thing. I don't know. Let me just say this out front. I don't know all of the facts And I'm not really a part of massage culture, quote unquote. I know one time I was with my wife at this. I'm not. Where were we? We were at one of these all inclusives, and she kind of talked me into coming with her to get a massage and whatever. And I remember, so I was like, all right, I'll do this. And I remember when it was my turn, or maybe you sign up and then you come back at a certain time. And I remember when it was my turn, um, some dude popped up.
Right.
And I was like, nah, I'm just not. But let me say this though too. I'm not I'm not a professional athlete, and so again, I don't. That's just not really my thing. So, and I'm only saying that to say I don't really know the etiquette. Who knows. You
Right.
know,
Right.
that being said, I think the major issue with this is a lot of people aren't forthcoming with their attorneys with all the facts early on. And I see it a lot in my workers' comp cases. I see it a lot in my employment cases where they don't tell you everything, and then you get deeper into the case, and then you find out about it anyway, and things go left. Um, and you know what? I'll say this too. I think this happened. This is the Bill Cosby story. Again, where it's like, these people want to fight these cases, and then they get into these depositions when they would have just been better off just paying out.
Right.
And I think that goes back to defense attorneys probably telling their clients, "Hey, only pay when they show you the evidence." But it's like if you
Right.
already kind of know that they're going to say certain things, you got to settle. And let me say this too, man. Anytime someone is doing something, and again, I don't know if he's guilty. I don't know if whatever he was
Me
doing was
either,
illegal.
to
I
be
don't know the
frank.
facts all that. Yeah, I don't know the facts all that well. But if you're doing something across 19, 20, 30 different people, whatever it is, it's pathologic. whatever whatever he was doing, whatever he was doing across the board, he was doing. I don't know if that is illegal. I don't know what the law is on that. I'm just saying that it's something that is widespread. And so if it is illegal, I think he's got to seek some help, man. Now, and let me say this too. I don't know if his career is over. I'm seeing different headlines saying is his career over.
I think his career is over. I think that, and I think that he's in serious trouble if he faces criminal charges, because the issue is that let's say you have a couple women who are alleging that he forced them to perform sexual acts,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then, but what we know is that there's basically like 19, 20 lawsuits, and then this woman who came out in Sports Illustrated who had claims, and there's probably other women out there that he's had massages with, that he's done weird behavior. And one of the things though is that in the civil discovery, um, the plaintiff's attorney may be able to subpoena his full Instagram data. Now, I don't know. I've never subpoenaed any data from Facebook for the Instagram, but I know that the algorithm knows a lot about you. It knows how much time you're spending on the app, which searches you made, which profiles you made, who you've sent messages. And so most of these
Mm-hmm.
women he's hit up through IG, that IG subpoena may be able to tell you a whole lot in terms of um, how much of a quote unquote predator he was if all he was doing was searching and basically sending warm messages out, like cold messages, but they're kind of warm leads because you know that they're massage therapists, out to local therapists in Houston, and and then you'll be able to interview the 50 or the 100 women that he dealt with, and you may find that the behavior was weird. And while most women didn't end up performing sexual acts on him, there may have been some that may have felt compelled due to the pressure or the context or whatever. And that puts you in a weird predicament where now you're fighting for your freedom in a criminal case.
So
Because
what would be the criminal charge?
well, one,
So
it's a misdemeanor in Texas to expose your penis. So on a lot of these claims, he's basically doing the same thing. He's telling them that he doesn't want the sheet and he wants to have a bath towel. And then halfway through, at some point in the massage, he's telling them that he wants to remove the bath towel. So then he's laying there naked and he's always on his back. He's always laying on his back. So chest up. So he's laying there naked and then he's only requesting deep massages in his inner thigh and his lower abs. And then this woman in the Sports Illustrated said that like he was hard. Now there are some techniques she said that like some clients may like get hard during the massage, but there's things that they can do to kind of like they can make it more painful, which will like make the hard go away. But she said that when she tried these different techniques, his shit didn't go away, and then he was also thrusting. So he was like, I mean, I don't want to act it out, but
well, here's the thing, man. Let me say this.
so that's where I'm like, so that's where that's
this
to
is
expose
also
naked.
right, but this is also kind of my point though too is it's gonna be, I mean, it's gonna be it ain't gonna I just feel like again this is massage culture and I don't know what the practices are because I mean what are they is the district attorney gonna prosecute everyone whose dick comes out during the massage or you know what I mean like I don't necessarily know this is one of those things where when you get into the nitty and the gritty you don't necessarily know what you're gonna find. And, do I think that on the surface it looks bad? Yeah. But again, I'm not really into going and getting massages. I don't know what all that's about. That's not my thing. Um, but I'm sure, like the woman said, I'm sure he ain't the first person that's gotten hard during a massage. I mean, this
Right?
is the
But they
story
should
of what's the owner from the Patriots?
Robert Kraft, but Robert Kraft
Yeah,
was going to like a massage parlor, and I think these are like licensed massage
massage
therapists, so I
therapist.
think it's a little different.
Yeah, so I don't
But
know. Yeah,
but
but
I think that
I think you are right. I think he should have probably got his arms around it a lot earlier.
right. I guess my point though is that if what they're saying is true, which I don't know, is that it's uncommon for them to be giving a massage to a man that's laying there completely naked, particularly when you're massaging his inner groin and lower ab.
Wait. Say that again. It's what to be?
So it's like illegal for them to massage someone that's completely naked. You need to have like either a sheet or a towel. And so he always requested a towel. And so I don't know. I think that removing the towel isn't necessarily a crime, but then when repeated women are saying you were telling them to touch it, then it becomes it goes from a massage to something more, in my opinion.
Well, Here's the thing. Are you saying then that? Well, I'll say this. I mean, I think all of the women are gonna probably come out the woodwork and get on code anyway. I mean, I'm assuming that these stories are going to end up being somewhat similar. Um, but again, I don't know we don't necessarily know his side of the story, and we don't necessarily know Texas law all that well, and we don't
Right.
necessarily know what the culture of massages are. I'm just saying
Right.
that,
But
you know, go ahead, B.
well, I'm just saying that. But my point is that I think that most attorneys, if given the set of facts completely, meaning you are you are hitting up random massage therapists on Instagram and you're communicating them via Instagram and text messages, and you are uh, getting massages in the area that they're talking about, it may have behooved you to resolve these initial cases and not allow these lawsuits to be filed, which is going to create free publicity. And then, like the woman today who released the story in Sports Illustrated said that she really doesn't plan on necessarily pursuing legal allegations, but she only felt compelled to speak up because uh, of his statement where he like categorically denied it, and she was like, "I know that that's not true because the same shit happened to me." And then all these women, I think, have screenshots of the IG messages, text messages, and there's communication. So, like, I don't think that this is simply an issue of like uh, someone completely making it up. And so it looks like I like lost you for a second. So that's kind of like my thing. Um, let me see. You back?
Sorry about that, B. I'm gonna try to find my other internet connection while we're talking. But yeah, I mean that doesn't look good. And let me say this, man. At the end of the day, everyone, especially if you're in the league, especially if you're a professional, everyone is on the record, man. You know what I mean? And as someone who works with models, quote unquote, Instagram models on my firm, please check out my IG page at Fletcher Brown Law Firm. Um, I don't do. I mean, I'm married. I don't do anything or say anything crazy to them. I mean, I keep it as professional as possible, and I have employees that deal with them directly anyway. But I think in 2021, you got to be as professional as possible across the board. Yeah, in certain circumstances, maybe, but in general,
Your service is bad.
yeah, just keep this stuff for you know professional. Uh, it's bad.
Right.
Right here, hold on. Hold on, real quick, B. Internet. Give me a second. But go ahead, B. Keep going.
Okay.
I mean, it's dead air.
Well, you're kind of choppy there. My point though is that
Okay. No.
I'm just talking about what I want to focus on is that folks not being completely honest with their counsel. Because I think that if he was being completely honest, he would have nipped this in the bud
Well, okay.
without the lawsuit.
Couple things, man. Couple things. I think you're right about that. I'm just grabbing my other internet here. I think you're right about that, but you also have to kind of remember, you invest in lawsuits for a living, and so I think you have a different relationship with lawsuits and money than your average person off the street. And it's hard to go to someone and say, "Hey, man, just pay this person off and just kind of nip this in the bud." Because a lot of people aren't trying to hear that.
Well, I mean, but
Um,
that's why he counseled with his agent, I assume, a personal attorney, that uh, it wasn't like he was doing this on his own. I mean, they were in conversations with someone from the general counsel of the sports agency.
no, that's true. That's true. Um,
I mean, it's not like he was hit up directly and he was the one doing negotiations. And I guess my
but
point though is that there's no way that if they had all the facts that they wouldn't have settled it. It's like R. Kelly. The reason why R. Kelly was able to do what he did for so long was that he was paying people to basically shut up before these lawsuits were filed or very early in the lawsuit process, and it kind of just went away before it picked up public traction. And that was really pre-internet. I don't know if R. Kelly could have done what he was doing in Chicago, allegedly, in 2021.
um, yeah, I agree. I agree.
That's what
I
I'm
don't.
like. But
Well, here's the thing too. Is this: you don't know the relationship that these guys have with their attorneys, agents, counselors. I mean, I think different people go to different people pick different attorneys, counselors for different reasons. You know what I mean? Like me personally, I'm the kind of attorney, you know, if you're my client, I have no hesitation giving you my cell phone number, personal cell phone number. A lot of attorneys, when I go to these conferences and I say that, they look at me like I'm speaking Chinese. Like, what? You're gonna give your client your cell phone number? That's crazy. Um, so my thing is, if you can't have a real conversation with your attorney or your counselor, that's a problem. And I think with a lot of these athletes, they can't have real conversations with their counselors, with their attorneys.
right, but I mean, Fletcher, but this cat has he can have a real conversation with his agent, who's a brother, I think. He can have a real conversation with anybody. Is and the OG, someone with his team, a coach. The point is that I guess my point is that I don't know. I think that you can do that now. Like for me, I don't give my clients my cell phone at this point. It would take the clients that I give my cell phone are extremely rare. So that's where I differ from you. Like I don't want it to
Yeah,
be called on my cell phone.
yeah. But that's my point. Is like, but and we gotta be honest about that. People have different relationships. I mean, I think that you are a lot more common than me. Um, but everyone's not looking for that close relationship with their attorney.
But I mean, the thing is that we don't need to be we don't need to be friends. And if someone needs to get in contact with your attorney, you can call the office. And most attorneys have the ability to be have calls transferred to their cell phone or something cell phone like.
But my thing is, to me, um, we're talking about how candid can you be with your attorney, and a lot of people don't value that. You know what I mean? Like I've always said, I mean, Bill Cosby should have settled the case before he gave the deposition. But that also requires someone to tell Bill Cosby, settle this damn case. And
Right.
being able to say that when you know that Bill Cosby is probably on the hook for paying you about half a mil if he doesn't settle.
Well, I mean, the thing is that this is my point on these type of cases against celebrities. As a celebrity on these allegations, if it's completely baseless, meaning that there is no interaction between the person that's alleging that you um, assaulted them, then obviously you fight those. Like, remember that one woman who said that Usher gave her herpes? Um, and it was like, I would find it hard to believe that she ever interacted with Usher, much less slept with Usher.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, if you know that, like, yeah, this lady gave me a massage, or these two ladies gave me massages, and I get massages all the time, um, you need to settle it because ultimately you're gonna have to sit for a deposition.
I
And I
think though
think
that it was like
an example of where someone
I
won.
think it was a bridesmaid. I think it was a bridesmaid. Hold on, real quick. I think she was a bridesmaid.
Your service is breaking up a bit. Your service. You there? You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
What's mine? You know what? I can't. Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So one of the things, I'll wait till he comes back. Let's see if Fletcher comes back. Let me fill this dead air. So one of the things that um, I think that there's times where it goes bad for some of these celebrities. See a Bill Cosby, but then there's times where the celebrities are able to prevail at trial. See a Derrick Rose. And at trial, I'm talking about these are all civil cases. And so let's talk about Bill Cosby for a second. Is that Bill Cosby was sued and then he sat for a deposition, which is basically where you give testimony under oath in an informal setting. Usually it's at like a conference room or someone's office. And so it would have been like Bill Cosby, his attorneys, the alleged victim's attorney, and then a court reporter. And the court reporter is taking everything that's being said. And at the conclusion of the deposition, basically a booklet is made. And then once that booklet is um, done, then it's like basically written testimony. And in Bill Cosby's case, what happened was that um, he he sat for the depo, and then after the deposition, he settled the case for I don't remember the amount. And then at some point, his attorney sealed the deposition transcript, filed a motion to seal. There was some sort of law in motion with the deposition transcript to get it sealed. And then once the Hannibal Buress stand-up comedy thing went viral, I think they refiled that motion, and ultimately the court decided to unseal that deposition. And then the basis of um, the criminal charge he faced, also in Pennsylvania, was essentially um, the testimony he provided in the deposition, where he admitted that he was drugging women um, during their sexual encounters. And so, because of that earlier testimony, like, but for that deposition being unsealed or coming out, he probably doesn't get convicted. No one necessarily knows about what he was doing and allegedly in these encounters. Um, but because that deposition was unsealed, it created a basis for them to go back and um, reopen a case or an allegation that was still within the statute of limitations. And then he was ultimately convicted, and that's why he's in jail. And so uh, he could have avoided that by not sitting for the deposition. Because like, I'm just going over the Bill Cosby thing, but in my humble legal opinion, is if there could be any, if you can face criminal um, charges based on the alleged conduct, in my opinion, you shouldn't sit for the deposition. And if you can't sit for the deposition, you might as well settle the case. There's like nothing for you to fight if if you can't sit for the deposition and answer the questions honestly. And so now the opposite of that case is the Derrick Rose case. Now, Derrick Rose, I mean, it's a lot, but Derrick Rose basically had an encounter where him and his buddies had group sex with the alleged victim. And then there are some text messages, and Derrick Rose sat for a depo. And one of the things that Derrick Rose, they asked him in the so the problem with the Derrick Rose case is that, not the problem, but what happened in the Derrick Rose case is that he sat for the deposition. In my opinion, the deposition was damaging, but ultimately the civil jury um, found in his favor and found against the plaintiff. Now, I believe that if the civil jury found for the plaintiff, there is basis in that deposition testimony for the LA DA to file charges against Derrick Rose, because in his deposition, he stated the following question. So they just asked, quote, it's in the middle, excuse me, quote, it's the middle of the night. Let's go over to the plaintiff's house. And they never gave you reason why they wanted to go over there. Rose, no, but we men, you can assume. Question, I'm sorry? Rose, I said we men, you can assume. Like, we leaving and go over there to someone's house at 1 a.m., there's nothing to talk about. Question, all right, is there, within what you just reviewed in those text messages, is there anything within them that would lead you to believe that the plaintiff wanted to have sex with you and the other two defendants on August 26, 2013? Derrick Rose, no. So to me, I just think that, to me, that was Derrick Rose is basically saying, like, all right, she's allowing us to come over at 1 a.m. We could, like, we're basically, she's consenting to sex. I mean, that's what one can infer. Now, Derrick Rose beat that case, and he ultimately hasn't faced charges by the LADA, but I don't know what the statute of limitations is for rape allegation, but I know that it's it may be quite long, maybe 7 years, it may be longer. I can't recall off the top of my head, but my point generally is that the risk are is significant, and if you have the money, the point of having money is that you never have to deal with these type of problems. And so those are my thoughts. I was talking about Bill Cosby before you came. Then I talked about Derrick Rose.
Yeah. I think, um, yeah, man. I mean, let me say this too. Just 'cause I want to be, historically correct. If you're guilty of these things, I think that you should pay a price, and and pay a price as set forth under the law. So I do want to, and I know that you have a background in criminal law. I don't. So I do want to be, I do want to kind of state that for the record too. Um, I think, and again, I'm in my late 30s now. I'm not in my 20s. I'm not running around the streets. I'm not doing any of that. So, um, I think I bring a different mentality into it. Um, and so I do, want to make sure that I state on here that, um, I mean, you do have to have a certain respect for women. Um, um, and I do just want to put that out there too. Now, in regard to people and their representation and telling their attorneys or their representatives the truth, um, yeah, I just think that that's important, and I think that you have to be able to have that candid conversation, and your representative has to be willing to have the candid conversation with you, even when that may cost that attorney or that representative some money. And I think a lot of these attorneys who represent these athletes aren't always telling them the truth. Because, I mean, it sounds like you would have told Derrick Rose to settle the case.
Yeah, I mean, you have a $300 million contract from Adidas. What's the meaning the downside of up Derrick Rose to me? So basically, let me back up. The elements to most sexual assault statutes are: did you have sex with the woman? Was it consensual? And so in this case, Derrick Rose, it's a one issue case. Was it consensual? When you're talking about that he was the plaintiff was alleging that she was basically asleep and that they basically came into her house, like her roommate let them in, and then they came into the room and they had group sex and she doesn't remember it. So if Derrick Rose is saying that he was able to get consent because of some late night text messages, in a situation where she had only slept with him before and not his friends, um, to me, I would enter a reasonable settlement and not. You don't need to admit that you did anything wrong, but if it goes bad, your career is over, and your freedom. You may be locked up for some years.
And the thing
So
is,
I guess that's my point.
Here's the thing too. I think a lot of people have problems evaluating risk. And to me, risk just basically means what's the upside, what's the downside. And I think a lot of times people don't evaluate risk right. And I'll just say this about, um, athletes, people who are coming up just don't evaluate the risk. Like they don't see that there's a major downside here and there's very limited upside. Um, so, I think that has to kind of go into the conversation too. That a lot of times people don't just don't really think like that. At least don't think like that naturally. And I think that they should.
Right, right. It's like one thing that if you don't have the money to pay out for the settlement, and the reality now, in the Derrick Rose case, I think that her criminal case, I think in a lot of these cases, the fact that they're filing a lawsuit for money, and they're going to a plaintiff's attorney before they're going to the cops hurts ultimately the criminal prosecution of the case. So that's like a major downside. That's a major feather in Deshaun Watson's case and any of these cases is if that I think he's gone again. Is that if there's a sexual assault victim and they are going not to the cops first, it's gonna hurt. It's definitely gonna hurt their credibility in a criminal trial. And I think that you see that in the second Michael Jackson case, I think. Fletch, what's up with your Wi-Fi? Are you on dial-up?
No. This Wi-Fi is good. I'm fine. That's your Wi-Fi.
Did I break up?
No, I don't think anyone broke up.
Oh, it looked like you broke up.
No. Look, man. I mean, you're definitely going deep into celebrity sexual misconduct cases. Here's the thing too. Let me say this: there is some sort of a downside because there can be a lot of Me Too lawsuits, and again, this goes back to you just kind of knowing how deep the problem is. I mean, if Deshaun Watson has a common practice of dealing with a lot of massage therapists, you pay one out, people hear about it, that can kind of turn into some sort of avalanche of cases. So I mean, that's the downside of settling out early. I don't think that situation applies to Derrick Rose's situation.
Well, right. I mean, Derrick Rose's situation is completely different, but I'm just talking about in general that, like, you're right that if you settle out the first one and there's more, it's almost like you're always going to be paying. But then, like now, I think he's in a situation where he's definitely probably going to be suspended this year. Now, I don't follow the NFL that closely anymore, but I know what guys were getting suspended for before when I did follow it. And you got 20 women alleging just some sexual misconduct. It's a bad look for the league if they don't suspend him for some games. And like, what can you say? Like, what is your defense? Like, oh, I was just pulling my thing out and I didn't.
I think that here's the thing. I think ultimately this is going to come down to massage culture, and it's going to come down to details. What did he do?
Right, but see,
what was
right, but I guess now I'm not a massage expert. I'm not one massage, but I have clients that do go to a massage therapist. That's different than a massage parlor. So if he was going to massage parlors, I think it would be different. And like one of the women was like a chiropractor. So I mean, like, come on.
No, look. I'm with you. I'm just saying that I don't know enough about any of that to really kind of know. But I think you are right in terms of the NFL. I mean, they're gonna just suspend you based on the allegations, or based on public perception and that sort of thing. And I don't know how. I mean, is this like a pretty popular story on social media right now?
I don't know because I don't follow a lot of NFL guys on my Twitter, but
I mean, this thing might just kind of blow over in a couple weeks.
Well, it comes
depending on what happens.
Right. But the reason why it is not blowing over is that every day there's like new lawsuits being filed. So like today, for instance, it was on the ESPN.com first page. And so like how they like to fetishize the criminalization of black people. So anytime these black athletes are in trouble is definitely gonna make the news. Um,
Well, here's the thing too. I think a lot of brothers in the media have to realize that the corporate assets, anything, basically, if you're able to generate clicks, you're going to generate some money for someone, and as long as you're generating those clicks, people are going to talk about you. Now, when you stop generating the clicks, then essentially it goes away.
right.
So, basically, but ultimately, I think you're right. I don't think that this is. I don't know if I see this as like an R. Kelly type case.
Right, right, right. I don't think that
You know,
is either. So I mean, I don't know that. Like, I don't think he like. I think that he's probably gonna face some criminal charges, but I don't think that even if he's convicted, he's not looking at a lot of time. But I think that if you face charges, though, you're gonna have a hard time coming to play back in the league in this era with
so
these
you think
allegations.
now? I think how good is he? 'Cause I haven't really been following
I
the
don't
NFL
know.
either.
I mean, I think that I don't really know. I've never. I feel like I stopped watching him play when he was in like his like rookie year, maybe.
Yeah,
But I know that he got a big contract and he wants to be traded.
yeah. I mean, I'm so far removed, man. I don't even know. I'm so far removed from the NFL right now. I don't even know. I just don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So,
um,
but yeah, I don't. I only saw like I only took interest in this case because of the legal aspects, and I was talking to some of my boys who happen to be attorneys, and I was like, man, he should have settled when it was two cases, and now we're at 18 and 20, and it's like,
I mean, but my thing is, who's to say though that he doesn't settle those first two, and then people hear, and you can say signing NDA, you can say confidentiality, but come on.
right. But even if you, but here's the thing though, even if you're just paying them out and there's no public lawsuit, then like what my point is that like what is your good name worth if you signed? I don't know what his contract is. Let me Google it.
But I just don't know. Here's the thing: I just don't know if there's widespread behavior, if throwing money at it is gonna make it go away.
Fletcher, he signed a $156 million contract extension. Let me see what the guarantee is. So, but I guess my point though is that like my point though is that what's the point? Like he's got so much money that if he's living right, he should never need a lot of this money. Um, he had basically $73 million guaranteed at, at signing. Oh, Fletcher's coming in.
No, I'm here.
Oh,
Hold on.
oh,
I'm here. Sorry.
he had $73 million guaranteed at signing. So my point though is that dog, like this is bad for your brand and this is bad for your career. Pay this and make this go away. And if they were only talking six figures for their first offer, and you know that you're basically whipping your thing out with every massage therapist, you might as well pay.
Damn, man. Yeah, yeah.
In my opinion. Now, again, if you're not going to pay, you got to be prepared. And this is what I think some clients struggle with is that, look, if you don't want to settle your case, great. If you don't want to pay, great. But you have to be prepared for um, things that like the consequences. Like I forget who says, I think Marlowe says in The Wire, he's like swinging the golf club in front of Bodie. He's like, you want it to be one way, but it's not, but it's another way. And it's like, dog, you got to live, he's got to live with this decision not to pay that lady six figures.
Yeah, Yeah,
or
no,
like,
that's true.
I know that you talked about one of your clients' cases where you were like, dog, you need to take this money. This doctor may throw you under the bus. This is good money. You should take this money. And your client was like, well, if the doctor doesn't throw me under the bus, I'll get more money. And then the doctor threw them under the bus, and they lost all their money.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, that goes back to my point is I think people really underestimate, or people don't really understand risk, and um, it also comes down to, let me just say this about like entrepreneurship. If someone's working a job and let's just say that they're making 50K and they're trying to figure out if they're going to start a business or trying to figure out if they're going to leave this job and go try something else. The risk is low because the chances of you getting another job making, 50K is relatively high. But people don't really see that. I mean, I see clients all the time where I'm like, hey, they're offering you X amount of dollars. You're not necessarily in love with this job. This isn't some career job. And again, they just don't see like, you know what, the upside is pretty high here and the downside is pretty low. And again, I think when it comes to these athletes, celebrities, the same thing, where it's like they don't really see the upside versus the downside.
Right.
Right. And a lot of times there is no upside, or a lot of times there is no upside. I mean, that's the cold hard reality, or the upside isn't what they think that it is. And and that's just kind of how I can think about risk all the time. Is what's the upside? What's the downside? I mean, right. Like this, me being on this podcast at 11 o'clock at night. What's the upside? What's the downside? If I wasn't on here, I would be doing something else. What's the upside? Maybe I get a client, generate some content. Who knows? Cut it up. Maybe you cut it up, you put it out. Maybe it goes, maybe something goes viral. Who knows? But the upside is there, and there's not very much downside at all.
Right. I agree, I agree. I just think that, no, I agree with the upside and downside. The analogy I like to use is that most things in life are basically ground balls to shortstop. Like, you're not going to hit a home run. You may not strike out, but you may just like hit another soft grounder to the shortstop or to the third baseman. And for a lot of times, for most, at least the case that I deal with, and at least for this Deshaun Stevenson, a ground ball in this case
Deshaun Watson,
bad for his brand. Like even if they do just okay, his brand is basically shattered. And it's going to be hard to get his, let's say that he's done nothing wrong. It's going to be hard for him to get his good name back.
Come on, man, stop. Now I think you're kind of going too far. Get his good name back?
Do you think he's going to get endorsements as a quarterback?
I mean, but what was his name? What was his name before? I just kind of think people kind of overestimate this whole getting. I mean, was Deshaun Watson leading anything in endorsements?
I don't know, but
was he a championship quarterback?
Yeah, but
this isn't Tom Brady,
right? But companies aren't going to have a quarterback as their endorser who is accused of sexual assault.
Stop.
What up, TV?
Look, man, let me say this. If you win, and Kobe Bryant taught us this, if you win, everything's forgiven. This is America, baby. This is America. If you win, everything's forgiven in America. This is the story of Kobe Bryant. So, I mean, I think everything is going to, and let me say this too. This is the land of the comeback kid. Everyone loves a good comeback story.
I mean, but does Kobe Bryant have his comeback story in 2021? If that happened in this era,
yeah.
and
Yeah, I
and
think so.
and I think Kobe was helped out because Kobe was in LA and he was one of the best players in the league. Now I'm just like I don't know if Deshaun
Yeah,
Watson is the best
yeah.
player in the league. If he's the
I think
best
you
player,
got.
that's gonna help.
I think that you got to win. I think you have to be successful. I don't think people are gonna, like, why are you gonna invest? I mean, you got to win. You got to be successful. I mean, you have to, I think that the pluses have to outweigh the negatives. I mean, Tom Brady has a baby mama.
Yeah, but
No
that's
one,
not
no one even knows that. No one even knows that. That should
right.
quote unquote hurt the brand.
Uh,
No one
yeah,
even talks about it.
Fletcher, 20, 19 or 20, when 19 or 20 women accusing someone of improper sexual conduct is that ain't the same as that's not Tom Brady's situation. That's not even Kobe's situation because Kobe's situation was one. It wasn't like, and that's not even like a who's the brother that was at Florida State? Um,
Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston.
like it's not even like a Jameis Winston thing.
No, I mean, look, I'm not saying that this helps his brand. I'm just saying that does this mean that it's all over for Deshaun Watson because of some quirky massage habit that he kind of had potentially? No, I don't think I don't think it's all over.
Um,
I
yeah,
don't
man.
think it's all over, man. I mean, there's people who, I mean, this is the age of the internet. I mean, there's people coming out here, you know, serving 30 to 40 years in prison, getting on Vlad TV, you know, starting up a whole brand, selling clothes. I mean, it's just a different day and age. You can't really count anybody out. Everyone is pushing to have a brand. Everyone's pushing the angle. Everyone, I just think that you got to be authentic and you got to be real.
Right, but
You
I
know what I'm
think
saying?
that
Most people, when they think about massages, they think about sex. Sorry, that's the reality of it.
I
Now,
just I
now,
don't.
am
I
I
mean,
am I massage guy? Am I massage guy? No, as I don't really know the culture. But is this the worst thing that could have happened to him? No.
I I disagree. I think that's not good for the brand.
No, B. It's not. I agree. It's not good for the brand. I'm just saying, is it over for him? No, man. It's America. I don't think anything's over. I mean, do you think it's over for Trump after he lost?
Well, I mean, Trump was a president of the United States. Deshaun Watson has only played in the league like 4 or 5 years. I mean, that's not a fair comparison. And
Is it over for Charles Barkley after Charles Barkley has done all the stuff that Charles Barkley's done?
yeah, but I think Charles Barkley did it in a a non-internet era. I don't think that Charles Barkley
Is
could
okay.
exist today.
Is Deshaun Watson stuff worse than Michael Vick's dog stuff?
Yes, yes, yeah, way worse, way
Are the
worse.
charge? What's again? Michael Vick ended up going to jail, right?
Michael went to jail, but right now I think that we don't know if Deshaun Watson is going to go to jail. He hasn't been charged, but it should be noted that he hired the best criminal defense lawyer in the state of Texas. So I mean he's ready for war. I mean he's not confused at this point.
Well, let me say this: um, is how many years did Michael Vick go to jail for? And then what's the maximum that Deshaun Watson can go to jail for?
I think Michael Vick went to jail for like a year or two, but
Okay.
um, I think that on if I think indecent exposure in Texas is a misdemeanor that has up to a year. No one obviously gets a year, but
Okay. Right.
hypothetically, he'd be able to get one of those for each of these women who said that he pulled his shit out.
Okay. Now you think that this is a harder hit on his brand than Vic and the dogs?
We're talking about dogs. I mean, what are you talking about? I mean, I think Michael Vick was able to come back, but Michael Vick wasn't on Madden cover. He wasn't on Nike after the dog incident. And I think that someone, if Deshaun Watson gets convicted of any of this, I think it's over for him. Now, maybe I'm underestimating how good he is because I've never seen him play, so I can't comment on that. And I think that teams will set aside a lot.
I think, yeah, man. I think if you can perform, you can perform.
Right, but
now, can he get on the field to perform? That's a whole nother story. But I don't know if. And again, I'm not trying to downplay the charges here. I just don't know if the American public is going to take this as serious as they take Mike Vick and the dogs.
Right,
I just don't know.
But I think it's sad commentary that that's even a question because you're talking about sexual assault of another human being versus like
no, B. That's right. But the reality is this. I think I don't know if they would show a dog getting killed on CNN, but they'll show a brother getting killed on CNN. Meaning, dogs to a certain degree in certain circles in America are valued more than human beings. We have to be honest about that. We got to be honest about that. Let me say that one more time. Dogs are valued more than human beings in certain segments in America. Period.
Right. Now what would how would your reaction change if you knew the race of the women who were the victims?
Not necessarily that. I think it's probably more about their background and more about massage culture in the state of Texas. I don't know. Again, I don't know massage culture. I don't know. I mean, you're saying massage parlors are different than massage therapists, and I don't know. I didn't know that there was ever even a difference, to be honest with you. I know that in California workers' comp, the insurance companies aren't paying for massage therapists to treat injuries, or at least not traditionally.
Right. Now, if he's assaulting a bunch of white women, I think he's going to jail. Sadly, let me be clear, but he's going to jail.
If he's assaulting a bunch of white women, so if this is 19 white women lined up, it's a wrap.
For sure. I think if it's more than a couple, it's a wrap. And depending on
how many years? For how many years?
Well, it depends on what crime. If it was simply just pulling his stuff out, I think they'll probably make him sit down in a few months. If it was forced sex, unconsensual sex, then I mean he's gonna sit down for a long time.
So wait a second. Is anyone alleged rape here?
Yeah, they're alleged rape. A couple of them are saying that he made them go down on it. Or he made the women go down on it. That they felt pressure that they couldn't leave and that.
Damn, I didn't know that. So let me kind of back this up. Again, you're operating with a lot more of the facts than me. I thought this was just more about the she versus.
Right. So I think that his MO seemed to be based upon the lawsuits portions that I've read and this SI news story. His MO was basically to get the women in there and then they would he would ultimately pull his stuff out at some time. Now, sometimes he would tell some of the women say that he told them, "Hey, can you touch it or move it?" And then that's where things kind of drifted. Now, a lot of the women didn't do that, or some of the women he pulled it out and basically made contact with their body on it. But then a couple of the women were basically, he told me that I needed to do that. I needed to perform the sexual act that I did, and it wasn't with consent.
Some of this, I think, is going to also depend on how many massage therapists that he actually used. I mean, did he use 40? I mean, because then the question is, did he rape 40 women? So, clueless lawyers speak on the situation that haven't dug into.
Man, hop on the show.
Correct. So,
we got Teddy Patty.
So
TV, can you hear us?
What up, fellas?
I'll say, you know what? I'll say this too. Let me just
What up,
make this
TP?
clear for the audience. I haven't read dozens of articles on these facts or these situations, so please don't take any of my you know advice as legal advice.
This ain't advice.
This is
This is
just
commentary. This is
this is
commentary.
just commentary on the situation. Let me just make this point, and then I'll kind of pass it on to TP. I think if his attorney analyzes all of his interactions with all massage therapists, that actually might help his case. Because I don't think that he. I mean, I'm assuming he didn't rape 40 women.
Right, but not
So
everybody's saying that he raped them. They're all saying that he pulled out. Teddy, what are your thoughts?
I think it's a wrap for Deshaun.
that's it.
Yeah, it's been a wrap for him.
It's been a wrap. Meaning, you talking about career, or are you talking about he's about to get locked up? Locked up, won't let me out.
I can't say he's gonna get locked up. He could, but in terms of that career, though, it's taking a huge hit. Is what you guys said earlier. You guys said he should, they should have settled that case a long time ago. They should have, because Deshaun is, as I said, like Deshaun is from Gainesville, Georgia. That's right up the street from me, where I'm from.
Right.
He know better than that. He know better than that, and I ain't gonna go too far, but he knows better than that. And
Right.
whoever are his handlers, they know better than that too. Y'all
Right.
brought up Mike Vick. Broderick can tell you I was a Mike Vick fanatic. Arthur Blank gonna ask Mike Vick, did you fight them dogs? What kind of question is that, Arthur Blank? The question is, Mike Vick, that ain't even a question. There's so much evidence around him. If you're going to represent a high-profile player like that, it is your job to know what are their proclivities. That's my job, to know that. Mike Vick, if you would have hung around Mike Vick long enough, you would have known Mike Vick loved fighting dogs, man. I think he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated with the dog prior to the incident. If you would have hung around Deshaun long enough, if you're working for Deshaun, you would have known Deshaun he liked the massages.
Right.
So it's your job. He's 25, worked all that money. Whatever your proclivities are, oh man, you can feed that. You can feed it. And so, they should have, there was things they should have done, and this situation shouldn't have got out like that, because, as an African-American male, that it's almost like, it's like a beacon when you getting it from the public and they put you up like that. That's a signal for everybody else. It's like it's open season. Come
Right.
get him. That's
Right.
why he should have settled it early. I would have told, man, you better open that checkbook.
Well, the thing, here's the thing, though. I think when it comes to, there's a difference. There's a different. I view money differently now than say I viewed money 10 years ago, and I think now I'm a lot more willing to believe. All right, you know what? If I let some money go, that money's gonna just come on back, and I just can kind of trust the universe when it comes to money. And I think 10 years ago, I'm holding on. No, I can't. That's not fair. This and I think that Deshaun, someone might have stepped to him and said, "Hey, man, just settle this thing." And maybe he felt a certain kind of way about the woman. Who knows?
But
ultimately, he didn't settle.
But my bad, but Fletcher, and Broderick we know. Well, no, you guys know that it's your job to manage your client. And so you have to give your client the information for them to make the best decision. Deshaun, have you not forgot that you're an African American male in this country, and that as a football player, you fit right into these preconceived notions by African American men? Broderick was right a few minutes ago. The reason why Deshaun, they ain't really just come and just he just ain't over yet because they haven't really put a face on the victims. They put a face on that victim, and it fits stereotypes of African American men. It's a wrap. Goodell coming out, in my opinion, and like, guess what? He gonna call the owner of that Houston team out there and say, guess what? You gotta sit him down. We gonna sit him down. He ain't gonna be out there no week one. I can tell you that right now. I can put the Deshaun ain't gonna be out there razzling and dazzling on no week one. You can forget that. It's too many women, Fletch. Anytime a man, first of all, as a man, you have a sexual or anything that's related to sex outside of the confines of marriage, it's a risky proposition anyway.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. That's true. I agree.
He got dozens of women that are making allegations. All of them true? Probably not. I would not believe all of them would be true unless I were to see the evidence.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you come in there with the towel with nothing on under the towel. You getting blood flow to that area during the sessions. Come on, man.
Right. And the thing is that a couple may not be true, but 19 women ain't lying.
That would be my thought process. I would tend to agree with Brian. That's why you gotta shut it down from the beginning, man. Because of the more they just filed 3 more lawsuits today.
Yeah, it's up to 19 or is it 20, TB?
I can't remember the number. I know they added 3 more today.
Did you read this?
And then Sports. Did
you read that?
Yeah, I read enough. And this lady didn't even file a lawsuit. So here's the thing right here, man. You know, obviously, from my opinion, it appears this could be a fetish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I would have told Deshaun, man, we don't need your sexual proclivities, man, out in the public, bro.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Did Deshaun have the relationship with his quote-unquote counselors to really keep that real?
But here's the thing, Fletch. This is the thing, man. You got to use common sense as a lawyer, in my opinion. Okay. Common sense would tell you this man is 25 years old, in the best shape of his life. You know, the boy probably 6'2". He's a star quarterback in a major city in America. Houston, Texas, man. That's the problem that Mike Vick had. He had too much. You don't put no young black quarterback in Atlanta, Georgia. Come on, man. You put him to the second thing below Atlanta. You gave him Houston.
Yeah.
So common sense would tell you that, all right, let me, you're going to have to manage that situation. It ain't like, someone who just got a job at IBM that's going somewhere in Ithaca, New York. Common sense would tell you, all right, you would have to have a conversation. Deshaun, how you handling these women, bro?
No, but I'm not believing
that he don't. I'm not believing that he's walking around like he's like the male version of like Mother Teresa, man. I'm not really believing that. I'm trying to dig and see, okay, if this is a situation that let's see how we manage the situation, because I know, when it comes to sex, man, in the public, especially as a African American male, dude, that's an easy way to fall. You mentioned Tom Brady, Fletch. and I had already forgot about it. But his name was Tom Brady. He ain't Deshaun Brady. That's a big difference.
Yeah, no, that's real. That's real. So I mean, bottom line, you guys think that he's gonna be doing some time.
It ain't about him doing time. He ain't gonna be out there. He ain't gonna be out there juking, and he ain't gonna be out there no week one.
I think he misses the entire season.
I think he does too. Because here's the thing, Fletch. These women are not going to allow, these women groups are not going to allow him to be out there, man. You can't You can't have dozens of women coming out with you on any type of sexual assault allegations, man, and you just scroll into week one. You in a precinct nothing ever happened.
I'm not saying that he's not going to be suspended. I'm talking about criminally. Well,
the reality is, even I can't really speak on that, but even if the effect is going to hit to his career it's going to seem like it's criminal. It's going to be the same effect.
Now, do you think that now? Do you think his career is over?
No, but it's taking a major hit because he can't be the face of anything when you have dozens of women making allegations of sexual assault against you. You can't be the face. You can't be the face of you can't be the face of no brand, no team.
Right. I think his career is over.
So you don't think he's ever going to suit up for any NFL team again?
I'm not saying that, but he has to he has to get punished publicly. It has to be it ain't gonna be no 2 or 3 games. Deshaun has to get punished. It's too many women, Fletch, man. It's too many women, and that incident it reinforces negative stereotypes. It's just it's very consistent with people's belief systems. Some people's belief systems, and you would imagine that he creates a lot of envy anyway. And now you just gave him something.
No, true. I mean,
and Deshaun knows better than that.
I definitely think he gets punished. I think he definitely gets punished by the NFL. I don't know if I mean, I don't know if the criminal charges stick or not.
But Fletch, let me just as Broderick said, there was an allegation when a woman felt compelled to proceed with sexual endeavors because, and dude, you're a football player, man. You 6'2", man, all mammal. And that allegation alone, I think Deshaun would have been okay. But in light of everything else, because now we're getting more information into your motor, your motor operation when it comes to these people who do massages, dude. You better get the best lawyer you can.
Yeah. I just think that, I don't know if he'll be convicted or whatever, but I just think that for the NFL, it's a bad look to have a quarterback who's good be out there when every time he plays for the rest, at least the next 5 years, it's going to be he's overcame a lot of this sexual. He basically needs to be Kobe. And I think Kobe's different because Kobe was a one-time incident. This is a pattern of behavior.
It was a single incident. It was literally 18 years ago before social media. We didn't have all these devices at that time. Kobe was already Kobe. He was already a championship player. It was a single incident. We don't know the woman, the alleged victim. She had, there were some things that didn't make her look well. But 30 women, and who's to say criminal charges won't be brought against Deshaun? Because right now they're just collecting them, evidence.
True. No, that's true. I didn't know about the woman who felt compelled. Again, that's what I'm saying. I haven't read up on any of the story. I'm just kind of hearing a lot of this stuff secondhand.
This Sports Illustrated article, you got to take a look at it. It doesn't make Deshaun look well, man.
It makes him look horrible because it suggests that there's a lot of other women out there who haven't came forward yet. And even though he didn't touch her, it was disgusting.
He didn't touch her, but he raped somebody else.
No,
That's
but he told her.
the thing.
No, but
They
no, but
just
he.
felt
Oh, go ahead.
they just felt like it was the environment. They felt like he was suggesting it by his actions, and they felt, at least one person feels that in the environment they felt pretty much compelled to do so. And the way I look at it, and I get back to you guys, the way I look at it is that it's almost like how people get addicted to like pain pills. Like I would imagine that if you're a football player, especially Deshaun, man, he plays at like these quarterbacks. He has that mobility. They're taking hits, and so like he probably really needs those massages. It probably really helps him. But at the same time, I don't know if somebody touched the wrong type of cord to touch the wrong at one point in time and get to a point where I think now there's some addiction to it, and maybe it triggers something else on him. But it's just the number of people he has performing those massages. Like you would think you would have a consistent one or two or three, but like you just can't be calling dozens of
hitting him up on Instagram.
Stuff.
I think he definitely has, and this is what I touched on earlier. I think he definitely has like a psychological. There is a psychological switch here.
Right, but the thing is, Fletcher, is that on a lot of these, he's asking them, "Can you touch it?" And a lot of women, like in the Sports Illustrated, she said no. But then other women may feel like, well, he's the star football player. Fuck, what if I say no? Is he gonna make me? Fuck it, then I'll just touch it. And then that, to me, is non-consensual, and that's why I'm like, you gotta pay.
And you know that, Flesh, because if they feel in fear, I mean, the lady in the article today said that at one point he disrobed himself, exposed his genitals, man. And he had an erection, bro. That ain't a good look.
No, that ain't good look at all.
Right. And the thing is, and this is why race plays a huge factor on this, is that if he was doing this to a bunch of white women, they're going to be more believable, all things being equal, to black therapists. And so if he's doing this to Becky and Sue, he's going to sit down.
And let me tell you, man, when that Kobe Bryant happened, I will never forget. I was working at this company I will not name, and the two people that worked with me, one was a white female, one was an Asian guy. Again, I'm just giving context. And they were certain Kobe had raped that woman. Certain. And I'm like, why would you think a star basketball player would need to like rape anybody? And again, this is before all the facts came out, but they were certain. And the guy said to me, Teddy, well, the fact that he had sexual relations with her, doesn't that make it more likely that he did? I'm like, not in my mind, it doesn't. We don't know what happened.
That's deep.
Like, we don't know what happened. But like, we gonna get other people are not going to really give Deshaun the benefit of the doubt when you have scores of these women. They put a face on one of the victims, fellas. It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
And honestly, I'm pretty sure that civil attorney knows that. He puts the right face on it. Done.
Now, I will say this. I have had conversations with people about Kobe. One time I was talking to this, because here's the thing about Kobe. I almost forgot about the whole Colorado thing for a while. And I remember having a conversation with someone, and they kind of mentioned, oh, well, I really like Kobe until Colorado or something. Or she said until something. And I was like, Colorado? I honestly kind of forgot about it. And she was like, yeah. And so, Teddy, I mean, you're right. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to latch on to different aspects of this story and hold on to it. My point to Broderick, though, was there were so many people outraged and upset about the Vic situation. I don't know if this is worse than Vic.
I don't know if it's worse.
If it's rape, then yes. Clearly.
Yeah, with Vic, there's a lot of pictures as well. And Vic, it was all pitch, and Vic was like on the top in the top of his game. I mean, he was had, and so it's tough, right? I don't, but I think it's one of those situations where it just gets kind of a build up, and at some point it gets like bad. All you need is one terrible story. Like the one on Sports Illustrated was pretty bad. You put a face on this, it's and plus Mike Vick was a lot bigger star than Deshaun is at this time. At that time, I think Vick may have had an MVP.
Yeah,
Vic was like,
so
yeah, Vic was at that time.
I mean,
Vic
he was on Nike commercials. He
was
had
on
Madden.
He was kind of a phenom. Not to say Deshaun is not a phenom, but Mike Vick was more of a marketable guy. He had more star appeal, than Deshaun. Deshaun is like on a team that he's very good, but the team ain't going nowhere.
basically.
Right.
So you guys think? I mean, so bottom line, you guys think he's definitely sitting down this year, and you guys think that basically, if the majority of these massage therapists are white, it's a wrap.
No, he's definitely sitting down this year. It doesn't need to be the majority. If the face of one of them, right? If that lawyer says, "I'm gonna make the face of it," if there's only one victim and he makes it the face, it's a wrap for him.
Yeah, because then it becomes a race issue in Texas.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
Deshaun know that. Deshaun been living the high life for too long, man. Deshaun forgot what time it is, bro.
And the thing is that a lot of these cases they'll put the victim on the stand and like her credentials, and so depending if he's just going to random massage therapists, in all likelihood these women are not thoughts. They're not Instagram models. You aren't going to be able to sex shame them. A lot of times they'll probably be married and super square. And so it's going to be a lot harder for his defense team to shame a lot of these women. And if they can't shame these women, most people are going to believe like, well, why would, regardless of race, why would the mom of 3 who's been married 10 years, who Deshaun Watson hit up coldly on Instagram, make this up?
Please don't let one of these women
Yeah.
like be married, dude. A family woman, it's a rap, dog.
I think the woman
Especially like a suburban one, it's a rap, dude.
I think the woman from Sports Illustrated, I think she might have been married, or engaged. And she's got kids.
Don't let her have a ring and a family, man.
Because the thing is that that's why now these women are all Jane Does, but at some point their identities may come out, and I think that's when the media spin is going to be hot and heavy, when they're like, oh, we got some faces to it, this is who he's insulting, nah, fuck this.
And that's
now,
why
let me ask you
again
this.
I blame the handlers, man.
Now let me ask you guys this.
Yep.
What's the last black athlete to go down based on when was the last black athlete to go down similar to how you guys think Deshaun Watson's going to go down here?
You mean sexual assault or just dealing with women in general?
Sexual assault.
I can't think of anybody. Were they actually like convicted during their career?
Yeah.
I know that there was like a former Atlanta Falcons safety, and I think he played for the Saints, that was accused of using a date rape drug, and like he got convicted, but I don't think he had recently retired. So I don't know if it's common during.
I mean, here's the thing. You've got
Was it Eugene? I don't want to say anybody's name. It was Darren Sharper.
Oh yeah. But he
So,
retired. But
He,
yeah,
he
Guys, I
got
gotta
20 years. He was sentenced to 20 years in 2016, and he was 4 years into his retirement.
guys, give me a minute. I gotta charge my phone. Actually, my bad.
But I mean, TP, we can cut this. I mean, it's
Okay.
almost midnight, but let me get final thoughts, Fletcher. Final thoughts on this Deshaun Watson situation.
like I said throughout here, I'm kind of walking into a lot of the facts here. I will say I do want to make it clear that anyone who breaks the law in regard to sexual assault does deserve to be punished. And then on the flip side, but I think that we do have due process. Hopefully, hopefully the case doesn't be determined based on race. You know, Deshaun does still have some star power. Football is king in Texas. So there are a lot of different factors that are kind of going on here. But let me say this too. It's vitally important for people to be candidly honest with their legal counsel about their legal issue. Whether, and give your attorney the good, the bad, the ugly, so that they can give you the best advice possible.
Yeah, I mean, I would just, Fletcher, I would echo, some, a lot of things you just said, but I think the representation just has to be a bit better because, like you kind of have to do pre-counseling. I mean, if you are, again, I won't call anyone out, but if you're if you're representing him and you're kind of around him, it is your job to kind of protect, like that's kind of like the franchise, right? So you kind of have to, like, instead of waiting for, a situation, you do kind of have to do some diligence so you can advise your client accordingly. To me, you know, sex and, as a star athlete, and, like, to me that should probably be on your checklist in terms of, like, how you would manage the client, to me, because that's one thing. It's an allegation can pretty much can ruin your client. So, like, to me, this massage stuff is something that, like, he's probably been doing this for so long. You would have had to have known that if you would have if you just would have done some diligence. And
Right.
then once you figure out that, okay, this is something that is going on, and you find out it's dozens and Instagram, like, you should go to your client and say, hey man, this is problematic. If you
Yeah,
need to date a girl who's a massage therapist, let's see if you can arrange that. But hitting up these random women is going to be a problem, to me.
Right. Right. To me. So yeah. And then my final thoughts are, yeah. Anytime you hire an attorney, you need to be as honest as possible up front so that your attorney or your counsel could do their job. And I think that either Deshaun wasn't being honest, or um, I think that's the only explanation, because there's no way that an attorney would be like, well, I mean, you've used 30 massage therapists in the last 2 years, and this is your MO. No, let's not settle these one or two cases. So I think that you always got to try to get out in front of things and be realistic with yourself as well as with your attorney. And I think ultimately he's fighting for his freedom, because if he fights, he's in a double-edged sword. If he settles these cases, at this point, people are going to think that he did it. The court of public opinion. If he fights this civil case and sits for a deposition and takes the fifth, people are going to think he did it. If he sits for the deposition and testifies honestly and tries to justify pulling his penis out on these random women who are simply working, or justify why he's hitting up strangers in the DMs asking for massages, I think that is a world of unknown that can create new problems and possibly criminal convictions. So I think he's in a really, 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 really tough situation. But my thoughts on it is that he should have settled um, a month ago. He should have settled 2 weeks ago, and he should have settled yesterday, today, and tomorrow. There's no reason why this needs to be out in public. He needs to just cut the check and reach out to every single therapist that he's dealt with to make this go away at this point.
Man, call that other attorney. Say, yo, let's meet in person on Friday morning. Guarantee by 4:30 we're gonna have a settlement. Man, cut that check, man. Make this, end this, man. It's gonna get worse. It's gonna continue to get worse. Cause
Right.
this is the way he probably lived his life, man. He probably have had sessions from hundreds of therapists.
Right. And even if it's not technically criminal behavior, it's such a weird behavior that I don't think the league, and the league has a lot of women fans. It's like that's weird. That's a weirdo behavior to be coming on your abs when you're getting a massage.
Come on, man. It's like, man, my man looking kind of like, I ain't gonna say what he looking like, dude, but like, dude, end this by Friday, man. If it were me, I would tell Deshaun, man, I need about 10 million. I'm gonna get this thing settled, no more than 10 million. And Broderick, what you think?
I think that's plenty. I think that's enough. I mean, I would be
man.
Let's get everybody together. Let's have a mediation and let's work this out. And then if it takes 10, if it takes 20, at this point, you just need it to be wrapped up so you can continue with your career.
I say 10, man. We get it done in 10. It's 30 victims. No more than 50. You ain't get 20. Just get this thing done, man. That attorney, man, everybody's gonna have a good payday. I hate to say it like that, and but again, I won't be repetitive, man. But just the longer it goes on, the worse it is. You need to get it out of the public light. They can't keep running new stories about it.
Right.
End it.
Right. I mean,
No, that's true.
How many women do you think there are in the ether?
Man,
that's the question. Like, you don't want to pay $10 million.
If you pay attention to pop culture, man, these jokes are hitting up folks on Instagram all day long. There's so many women on Instagram. There's so many, man. It could be hundreds, man. It could be 100.
Yeah.
We need other people coming out here, man. End it.
Yeah. Damn.
All these dudes do is fly women out.
I mean, dude lives in this is one of my final comments, but he lives in the 5th largest city in the country, and he was flying out massage therapists.
Hey, man,
that's crazy.
That could mean that he didn't. he didn't pretty much already had all the ones in the city.
Right.
It could mean that.
So he was flying out massage therapists from Atlanta.
One. There's like one. One or two were from out of state so far. But here's the thing though, and this is where I think that he's going to get in trouble is that if they subpoena that Instagram data and that data and Instagram provides the actual data in terms of how much time he was on Instagram, what hashtags he was searching, what messages he sent to every user, how much time was he like going through people's profile and scrolling? Rap. Burrito. So that's where I'm like, you're playing with fire because I've never subpoenaed anything from Instagram, so I don't know how much data you can get. But if they can give you the data that they actually keep, which it's clear that they keep that, he's in the world of trouble because they're gonna paint him as someone who's a predator and was searching out #therapist. You know what I mean?
It ain't gonna be pretty, man.
It ain't gonna be pretty.
I don't know why they haven't settled it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, how long has this been a story?
3 weeks.
A couple of days now.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Probably. It ain't been a week. It's been more than that.
So maybe,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they can't sell it, man. Maybe they, maybe it's too much. I mean,
at
damn.
this point, if you're the plaintiff's attorney, you're just driving it. Every new lawsuit, you're just driving up the settlement value. And he hasn't even begun the discovery. So once the discovery comes, then you can really start tapping in. And then I just think he should settle. I don't see the upside because you're gonna pay money at the end of the day anyway. You might as well settle it before you have to disclose.
And it's killing his brain. Every day this goes on, it's killing his brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. Man.
All right, fellas. Here, let me end this. Stay on though.